We're back on Sports Radio 1450. This week's Prairie Star Spotlight. Amanda Murphy, Assistant Athletic Director for Media and Communications, and Mallory Beck, former athlete and now Events Coordinator. Close enough. They're going to visit with us. Amanda, how many times? You're usually the one behind the scenes. You're the one that gets all the guests to come. How come you finally gave in and you decided that it was your turn to come?
Well, our basketball coaches are busy. They're about to travel on the road, so I didn't really want to disrupt them. And then our spring sports are gearing up to just get started here. Softball kicks off in a few weeks, and baseball at the end of February. So just kind of got thrown into the fire.
How much traveling do you do in your job?
UIS is kind of a unique situation where we don't have that many staff members for sports info, so I don't travel that much. When I'm needed on the road for neutral sites and things like that, and we don't have home events, that's when I go. But for the most part, I have to stay here in Springfield.
Capsulized description of your job. Is it what we called sports information director in my day, or is it more than that?
I think it's a little bit more than that. Obviously, the main component of my job is basically I'm the media liaison for our coaches and staff and our players to, people like you and Marsha Martinez for SJR. But then I also oversee marketing, promotions, as well as our game management. And now with social media and websites and everything like that, there's a lot more involved with sports information.
And I always wondered, how does a young lady become interested in getting into that field? Were you an athlete? Did you grow up playing sports and did it I knew I wasn't ever going to be good enough, so I had to find some way to be involved. Was that kind of where you fell?
Yeah, I played sports all through high school, but I got to college and I decided that I wanted to have a lot more fun and not play all the time.
Not have practice every night.
Yeah, and I knew I wanted to go to a big school, Division I school, so kind of led me to that. I kind of fell into it. I was originally a print journalism major, but it was right after the newspapers kind of went down in decline and decided to go into PR. Got a internship with the Chicago Sky WNBA team, and that's kind of how I fell in love with kind of media relations and sports. And
you're not afraid to move. You have changed and kind of climbed the ladder, haven't you?
Yes, I have moved from Michigan, that's where I'm from, down to South Carolina, lived in Georgia, Florida, and New York, and now I'm in Springfield here. But I should be here for a little while now that I'm engaged.
Okay. What was the appeal when you were in Florida, and that was your last stop before here, right?
Actually, I was at Grand Valley State.
You were at Grand Valley State. Okay. What was the appeal of coming to was this your first opportunity to kind of be your own?
Yeah, this was my first opportunity to be an assistant athletic director, also be full-time. I had taken part-time stops just as full-time internships, essentially. Then I got my master's degree, which really put me in a position to be in an administrative role for any athletic department.
Were you at Florida Gulf Coast during the run?
I wasn't. I missed it by a year.
What were the repercussions? What was it like coming in after that? Were they kind of on a high at that point?
Yeah, I mean, I had left right when they hired the new coach, and we knew that he was going to do great things. I mean, you could just tell from his energy and then the team's energy when they were, in the off season. So, I knew that there was going to be more, and they've had a great women's basketball program as well for many years. So I knew that the men were going to catch fire as soon as that happened.
Mallory Beck, you're an SHG graduate, former State Journal Register Female Athlete of the Year. Went to UIS and played two sports at UIS. Number one, go back to making that decision. Most people give up one or the other. Why did you stay with two, and why did you decide UIS was the best place for you?
I couldn't pass up that opportunity. They offered me for both basketball and softball. Originally, I was just looking for basketball, but I had a chance to stay right here in Springfield, around my family, around the Springfield community, which I love. And like I said, it's a great school. I was able to get a biology degree with a chemistry minor, and I could stay right here in town where I love it here and close to my family and get a good education and be fortunate enough to play two sports.
And you didn't talk to your friends who went away to school and hear all the good things that they got to do while they were away from home going to school?
I did, but I fire it right back at them and tell them I'm having fun right here.
Okay, and you're still around. Did you graduate in May of 14?
Correct.
Okay. What's keeping you here? How did you get an opportunity to stay here, I guess is a bigger question.
Well, currently I'm taking some prerequisites. I'm trying to get into dental school for 2015, this fall semester coming up. I applied to SIU Edwardsville and a few other places, but this position opened up as the events administrator, and I was contacted by Kim Pate and Amanda Murphy, and I couldn't pass up the opportunity to stay around sports, and it's kind of made it easier being done playing. I can still be in the environment, be at UIS, and make a little money while doing it.
What do you do? Talk about some of the things that you are involved in specifically.
Okay. I oversee our student workers, and I run ticketing and concessions. I help host home events. I interact with referees and visiting teams, and we help get people out to games. I work close with Amanda and our other marketing person. We do promotions in the community and help people come out to track and see what we're all about.
You had a men's and women's basketball game Monday. How long was your day? How long is your day on a day when there's a doubleheader like that? Do you have class during the day and you just stick around all day?
I do. I actually Mondays and Wednesdays I have 3 classes, and then when we have games, I'll go into work around 2. We try and set up then we usually have games at 5:30 and 7:30. And we clean up the gym, and I'm out of there by 10 or 10:30 if we're lucky.
Oh, easy. That sounds right. Okay. How going back to your career as an athlete, were you happy the way everything went for you as an athlete at UIS?
My experience, I wouldn't change it one bit. I would have liked, winning a little more, setting some records for teams at UIS. It was fun being on that 2012 softball team where we made the national tournament, but I wouldn't change my 4 years there one bit.
And how are you doing getting into dental school?
Well, I'm actually in the process of setting up an interview right now. I've got my applications in. It's the deadline's closed coming up here and in February, so I'm just awaiting. Stressful process right now.
One of the things that impresses me about UIS athletes is the way they become involved in the community. You are an athlete who I believe you suffer from asthma. Don't you?
Diabetes.
Yes. Okay. Sorry about that. You and Jay Cutler. That's right, because I tried to help you get hooked up with Jay Cutler.
Yep.
And you were involved in some some activities involving diabetes. Talk about some of those.
Correct. Yeah. Well, recently, back in October, there was a step out walk for diabetes. We raised, I think, over $60,000 just for that step out walk, which it really, being at UIS, I had the opportunity, we're trying to promote a Sports with Diabetes Day, which I think our SAC, Student Athlete Advisory Committee, has worked hard to put that on, but unfortunately we had to postpone it. But that helped me build ties with the community and helped me, get in some relationships that allowed me to become the ambassador for that step out event. So it was a really good thing, and, we raised a lot of awareness for diabetes, and it was a great cause that raised a lot of money.
Anything else like that planned or that you'd like to see happen, or you want to make that an annual event?
Well, I hope that we get this first event rolling with our SAC, but if they don't, I hope to take the initiative on myself as individually. And it's great to get kids out to campus, and I think, our Student Athlete Advisory Committee does a great job, and they're actually doing a kids' night out here that I think in February. They usually do it around Valentine's Day. I'm not sure what the exact details on that, but anytime we can get kids out to campus and have our student athletes interact with them one-on-one and kind of share our experience with them and, make a difference in kids' lives and while promoting a good cause, that's just a, tip of the iceberg. I love it, getting people out there.
Did you ever want to become involved in coaching?
I see that in my future. Whether it be a high school level or something, I continue to stay active in the summers, helping out with SHG camps or things like that. But I do see coaching in my future, and maybe not at the collegiate level, but I hope maybe coach basketball or softball one day.
Are you still in pretty good shape? Could you go out and run with the basketball team right now?
I don't mean to sound cocky, but I think I could.
Okay. Amanda, I asked Mallory this question on a game day for you. Talk about some of the things that you are responsible for on a men's, women's game day when the radio station is there to broadcast, when the newspaper is going to be there, and all those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my day is pretty similar to Mallory, and luckily I do not have to go to class, but I normally get in the office about 8:30, and I'm there till about 11. I oversee basically setting up all the gym alongside Mallory and things like that, and just make sure that everyone has, game notes, stats, rosters, pronunciations, and normally in the gym about an hour and a half to 2 hours before games start, just to interact with visiting media and our own radio station. So it just kind of depends. And then post game, if we have a doubleheader, we're rushing to get a video with the women's coach Shedletsky, and then we're back at it really quickly to start the men's game. I am lucky to have a graduate assistant who does a lot of things for me and helps me with stats and things like that. But then we wrap up the game at night. Same thing, get Bill Walker there on the post game with some players, and then I'm in the office writing a recap to send to our media members. So it doesn't end.
How do you've got to be a buffer between the administration, the coaching staff, and the media when we want things, when you guys are looking for a new coach in a different sport, all those kind of things. Your experience in your younger days as wanting to be a member of the print journalist, I think you kind of see our perspective a little bit, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I think in this field I've gotten to work with a lot of media members, and just kind of, the first thing that I try to do when I get to a new place is ask, how can I help you? What can we do better to make your job easier? And I like forging those relationships, because then obviously my teams get a little bit more coverage and a little bit more publishing.
Somebody like Mallory Beck that's been around, how valuable is it for – she knows – she's been to the game. She knows what you guys want to do. That's got to be an aid to you.
Oh, yeah. Mallory is the biggest advocate of UIS in general, and then also our athletic programs. The fact that she was able to stay this year and help us out has been nothing but helpful and awesome. Obviously, she has so many community ties, which coming from an outside city where I don't know very many people in Springfield, she has been invaluable.
What's attendance like at games? How are you guys satisfied with the people that are showing up, the way the program has developed in the community?
I don't think we're going to be satisfied until we sell out the gym for not a high school game. But I would say that our attendance is on the up and up this year. I would say our students have come out more this year than I saw last year, and I think Mallory agrees. In her 4 years, she's definitely seen an increase this year. But yeah, until that gym is packed every single night, we're never going to be satisfied.
Some of the sponsorship, do you ever get, I do it on a very limited basis in different committees that I'm on, but you ever get tired of having to go out and try to sell stuff to people? That you show up on somebody's door and they know you want something. Do you ever get kind of bothered by that?
Yeah, I'm fortunate that in my position I don't have to do that much. I have Paul Cabas, our associate AD, and he does a lot more of that than I do. But I think one of the great things is that it never stops, and businesses in this community have been so great in trying to, merge our relationships and make sure that they can help out, because they know that, the economic impact that UIS has on this community.
Talk about some of the stuff that you guys have coming up in connection with basketball games.
Sure. Well, we are on the road this weekend, but next week on January 29th, we start off with Green Toyota Night. And Green Toyota is one of our big sponsors. They give us a recruiting car for our coaches to use. They are giving away 2 details to 2 very lucky fans. And it's just a great, night to bring them out and things like that. And then on Saturday, we bring in Bank of Springfield Family Day. It's become an annual event. And this year, McGraw-McDonald's are getting in on it as well. But all kids are free to the game. And parents that have children are just $3. We just want people there. Kids have a chance to meet Gilly from the Junior Blues, the Boss Dog, Speedy from the Sliders, and even Cosmo is going to make a special appearance. So it should be a good event for all. Those are 2 very tough teams. We're playing Bellarmine and Southern Indiana, so it will be 2 very tough games, but they should be good games.
From your perspective, I talk to Bill Walker every Monday for a segment that we do here. The guy takes losing pretty hard.
Yes, he
takes losing pretty hard. How has he been to work with?
He's great, actually. Obviously he's very competitive and wants to win more than anything. But when he loses, you can count on him afterwards to make sure that he's giving you the quote that you need and, paying attention to people that he needs to see. And he's just overall, just a good guy to work with. And I think we've seen improvements on the floor. Obviously our record isn't where we want it to be, but you can definitely see a little bit more energy and spark with our guys.
Mallory, you were involved on the women's side. Shedletsky has been around for a while. There aren't a lot of players left from when you were playing, but I always thought that one of your roles was the rah-rah type. You were a lifter. You were somebody that, let's get pumped up, let's do it that way. Do they have somebody like that, or are you still throwing a little bit of that in? Do you go in and help them in that regard?
I wish I could go in and help them. I'd do anything to put a jersey back on. But yeah, I like to think of myself as that spark, and I think they could have, all of their players this year. They seem to have high energy. I watched them play against Truman last week, and that was an outstanding game. I couldn't believe the energy on the floor. And me as an alumni being at that game, it just was awesome to feel that high energy and see the gymnasium packed.
But is it hard when you've been playing your whole life? This is the first time you've ever had to sit there and watch everybody else do it.
Absolutely. It's hard. Like I said, I'd do anything to put that jersey back on, but now I'm kind of taking the perspective where I'm moving on to the next chapter of my life, and I'm there for support. I'm proud to be there supporting UIS athletics, and like we talked about earlier, maybe I can switch roles and maybe get into coaching in my future.
Do you ever get to the point though where you've got those shots where people have to make the different shots, and they miss a layup, and you're like, are you kidding me? Let me show you how to do. I mean, don't you ever say, you got to be kidding me?
Oh yeah, I've asked Amanda a couple times if I can go out there and do the contest on the in-game promotions, but she won't let me.
Amanda, some of the other things that people involvement with the Stars Club and some of that. How can people get involved if they want to become? You talk about you won't be happy until the gym is full. What else? How can people show up and do things if they want to?
Well, our schedule, everything's on UISPrairiestars.com. If you follow on Twitter at UIS Athletics, that's where a lot of our stuff is. But our fundraising arm is a very important piece to our mission and everything, and that's the Stars Club. UISPrairiestars.com/Stars Club, and you can sign up. We have the unique ability to give to specific sports, whereas a lot of other things are just overarching, but that is the best way that we can continue to get support from our community and everyone else.
Coming up on February 12th, it's Superhero Night. The Student Athlete Advisory Committee is collecting donations for Make-A-Wish and first responders. Get in free. And then the 14th is a Pink Out game. That's to raise awareness for breast cancer, partnering with the American Cancer Society. Gigante and Gigante is giving away a piece of jewelry to one lucky fan. You guys always have something going on at the game, don't you?
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Hey, anything else we need to talk about? Tigers lose Max Scherzer. Are you kind of, what'd you think about that?
I am a little disappointed, but when you're asking for that much money, I think that the Tigers can get a little bit, maybe two for the price of that. So.
Okay. And do you have a favorite sport of all of them that you've been involved with?
Well, my favorite sport overall is baseball, but I like to cover soccer and softball because those were the two sports that I played. So I just think they're fun and they're energetic, and they each lend themselves to a little bit different strategy than other sports.
How good a soccer player were you?
I was an all-region goalkeeper, even though I'm 5'1". So, yeah, I was all right.
And you just didn't want to keep going?
No, I was gonna, like I said, Division I. I was not a Division I athlete, and not to say that our Division IIs aren't as good, but I knew that I was going to a school that I probably would never see the light of day on a field.
And you've been at a lot of different levels. How is the GLVC across the board competitively? I mean, it's not Division I, but as a Division II conference, you got to think things are pretty good.
Oh, yeah. The GLVC is one of the most competitive conferences in the nation in Division II. And I would say that we have some top talent that could even compete with Division I schools. Absolutely.
Mallory, is Larry Sellinger your biggest fan?
Of course he is.
He was always calling me, wanting to know when the next game was. I said, "Why don't you just get a schedule?"
I know. He's great. He actually still calls me and checks up on UIS. What'd UIS do today? And he'll fill me in about SHG. I went to the SHG game last night, and they did pretty well, and stuff like that.
Hey, Mallory, Beck, Amanda Murphy, thank you, ladies, for coming in. We appreciate it. That's this week's Prairie Star Spotlight. We'll be back after these.